Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Geton with AllthingsGeton, and for those of you that are new here, I am a Christian single mom. I have 3 daughters. I work full-time and I work out about 5 to 7 days a week. So the reason for this video is I wanted to come here and talk to you all about some things that are near and dear to my heart. And that is just ways to embrace imperfection and single motherhood. I have been a mom, blessed enough to be a mom now for over 14 years, and it's a whirlwind at times. Like those of you that know, I don't care if you are married, single, whatever, it is a whirlwind being a parent, like figuring out this, figuring out that. So just from my history and the 14 years that I have been a mom, I have let go of the feeling or the fight and the urge to strive for perfection, because why? It doesn't exist. Like, if we're being honest, imperfection does not exist. So let me ask you, have you ever felt the weight of expectations pressing down on you? I know I certainly have, but here's the thing, imperfections are not shortcomings. They're often opportunities for you to grow. I've learned so much from messy imperfection moments throughout my journey. Like, let me just share a story with you. I remember saying to myself, hey, I want to get out more. I want to start doing volunteer at my kids' school. And I know that for myself, I had a mom that worked 2 jobs. She wasn't always able to be there, but just seeing my friends and everything light up from the excitement of their mom being a chaperone on the trip, like, was the highlight of that day. Like, just seeing my friends happy, just seeing Miss Johnson, whose house I was just over at, a part of the field trip, like, this became like the norm. So that was like one of my goals that I had for this year. I told my kids that I might not make it to everything, so I set those expectations with my kids. However, if I know in advance, I can go ahead and make things work. So for me, releasing the pressure of those expectations always are a go-to. Like, my kids know in advance, like, hey, my mom's gonna be here, I know to show up. And if I can, I use that as a learning opportunity. Like, my kids, all 3 of them go to different schools. So with that being said, one time I have to go there and be there for this child, another time I have to be there for another child, or I may even have something going on that limits my ability to be there and show up for them in that way. But then I try to do things as far as like, okay, well, next time it's this, or next time we'll do this. Always try to come up with like a solution. And another thing that I learned about expectations, just being a solo person, for those of you that are new here, I relocated to Georgia 4 years ago. So everything that I knew as far as a support system was back in Delaware. I didn't have anybody that I knew that I could just drop my kids off, go here and do whatever. So that was an adjustment for all of us. So for every year since we've been here in Georgia, my kids and I have always done things with each other. Now, the difficulty in that has been COVID. COVID happened, and a lot of places will only allow a certain number of people, or they will say no children under a certain age, so forth and so on. So luckily, for the past couple of years, the kids have either been in school when I've had an appointment, or I've scheduled all of their appointments together. And that was like one way that I was pouring into them, and as well as eliminating the stress off of myself. So give yourself grace and know that you can be flexible. One of the things I try not to do with my kids is when it comes down to anything fun that I may have in my mind, like, I want to take the kids to this market, I want to go do something fun, it's been a while, we haven't gotten out all month, but I worked. I went to the gym every day of this week, so maybe I'm too tired. I keep that to myself, because if I share that with them and I get them all excited, to let them down and say, hey, we're not going to be able to go this weekend, that could be like a bummer. Like, I don't want them to be like, oh, she always promises to do things and doesn't follow through, because it doesn't give that. And just being a kid myself, I know what that does. So that's one of the things that I eliminated doing, was setting those expectations with them. I'd rather make it a surprise, something that they were not expecting, something they were not anticipating. Next, I've adopted some thriving strategies. Let's talk about that. And I want to talk about this because this is going to really help you learn how to identify ways to survive and not just thrive amidst those imperfections. So first up for me was learning to prioritize self-care. And self-care to me is whatever works for you, whatever, the way I define self-care for myself is something that I'm looking forward to, something that I enjoy doing, something that only I have the opportunity to do. Like, it's something that is a treat or a reward for myself. And a prime example of that is going to the gym. I didn't always feel like this. I didn't always feel like that was self-care, but I started to find workouts, routines, and things like that that I enjoy, and I really look forward to going to the gym. I recently had to learn that you also have to incorporate your rest days. And when I say rest days, it's impossible for me to lay in bed all day having 3 kids, but rest day of maybe not such intense strength workouts, but maybe going for a walk, like trying to scale back on the things that I'm doing in the gym. Self-care could be, okay, you shower, you're in that quick fast routine, maybe set up a bubble bath, put your iPad in the shower or in the tub so that you can watch a nice movie, quiet movie. I've also implementing getting up early so that I have at least 2 hours to myself before the kids get up. I'm able to do anything that I may have not gotten to the night before. I'm able to read my word. Just ways to like pour back into myself, because if I'm just being honest, as a single mom, I feel like sometimes by the end of the day I'm drained, and when you're drained, depleted, you need ways to pour back into yourself. So that was like the highlight of my 2023, was figuring out what was going on in my life that was working, what was not working. Even when it came down to my health, I just remember a doctor that I was seeing last year that says, if you're not okay, how can you make sure everybody else is okay? And that really resonated with me and stuck with me going forward. And having daughters, I feel like it's important for them to see how I take care of myself, so that when they are in binds and situations of hecticness or whatever, just life, they know how to navigate those situations. Next, let's talk about community support. One of the things that I said that I wanted to happen when I moved to Georgia was that I wanted to get involved in the church. And I started once COVID broke and we were able to get out and be around a few people, I started going to a church, but it just was something lacking to where I didn't really commit. And as being someone that did not necessarily grow up in the church, I was so glad to have found one that resonated with me. My kids love, like, every weekend, Mom, we're going to church. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to church. So I love that. I also have joined a Bible study club at the church that we attend, and I was able to meet several great women, mothers, wives, things of that nature. So we're always able to discuss different things, current events in our lives, like what our kids may be experiencing. And it's like a breath of fresh air, because when you get home, you're like, I'm not in this alone. So I can't stress enough the importance of finding your tribe, connecting with other single moms. Make sure you share your story, swap advice, uplift each other. Community support has been a game changer for me, even if it's just a night out. Last weekend we went and seen The Color Purple, something that I would have never imagined on doing, just being a mom and my kids not knowing anything about The Color Purple. It was a fun night out, so definitely Try to find you a tribe. I don't care if it's virtual at the time being. There's so many resources out there to get yourself out there. Even with me volunteering at my kids' school, I've met some amazing moms that we can sit up there and have play dates. You know, even while your kids are at the park, you sitting there having someone to talk to in regards to anything you may have going on. Get it out, don't hold it in. Next, let's talk about the balancing act and how you do all of this. So balancing work, parenting, and my health journey is a constant dance. I prioritize what truly matters, and I try not to be too hard on myself when things don't go as planned. Flexibility is key. So like I said, if it's a time to where maybe my kids let me know something at the last minute, I try to say, hey, I'm going to do my best to try to make it, but if I'm not able to, you know, just try to let me know in advance. Like, I'll be there, you know, because I know that certain things matter to my kids, and it even matters to me, just being present. I don't want my kids to grow up and be like, oh, she worked all the time. I barely seen my mom growing up. I really want them to cherish the memories that we created amongst ourselves, even as far as like traditions. Like, and lastly, faith and resilience. My Christian faith has been my anchor. It's where I find my strength, hope, and resilience. I've seen how challenges can be transformed into opportunities when viewed through lens of faith. Like, I am such a perspective person. I love looking at different sides of things. So, you know, it's like, I may have to wait right now, but I know that like, look, it's January right now, but in 2 hours it's gonna be July 2024. You know, like stuff like that. Like, it's, nobody likes waiting, but when you think about all the things that have to wait in order for it to achieve its beauty, like think of a caterpillar before it turns a butterfly. I just seen a TikTok, and I don't know how true this is, but where it was talking about a flamingo that fades. Like, do you know why it fades? From a bright pink to a light pink. And the person was saying that the flamingos that have like the lighter pink shade are flamingos that have their children, like other flamingos, like their mothers. And that just made me think like of how we transform as women once we become mothers, like how we look so drained, and you know, but having kids and children when they're young, it's just a small window of time. Like, there's always things going on. Like, that's why I feel like so often when I look at pictures of my kids, I'm like, oh, that time went by fast. Like, our time and God's time is completely different. Like, what may seem like it's taking eternity for us, like, God created the earth, the world in 6 days. Like, anything is possible. Like, so just having those thoughts in my mind and reminding me of the promises that God has made, and seeing and reading my Bible how He's made good on His promises, are all things that like help me realize my strength, like know who I am and whose I am. I say that a lot, even to my kids. Like, do you know who your father is? Like, do you know who created all of this and what he is capable of doing? Like, we're putting our limits up against his, and all we have to do is seek him at all times, and he will make things happen. So as we wrap this up, remember, it is okay to not be perfect. Okay, embrace the beautifully imperfect mess that is your life. You know, there's a message between every mess, seriously, and that message could be for you or for you to share with someone else, which is why I wanted to come on and talk about how I've managed to embrace living an imperfect, not striving for perfectness while being a mother. I hope this resonated with you. If you are not yet a mom, hopefully this is like a stepping stone so you can avoid certain behaviors of feeling like you have to thrive for perfection. If you know someone else, share this, that is a mom, share this with them. Let them know that they're doing a great job. That means a lot.